Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier, and after tonight's game, I'm a diehard Piston fan of this team of ours. They had a gutsy, gritty win, 111 to 119 over the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte is not one of the best teams in the NBA by far, but we still had a lot of things go wrong. Cade fouled out, only playing 24 minutes. He sat out a lot of the time, only scored 12 points. And we have Burks step up, and Stu and Ivey and Duren. We had a lot of players step up, and our defense was tough again, and we just can't turn it over so many times. That is the problem. 23 turnovers, and we could have made it a lot easier on ourselves. But again, the defense was solid. After winning 17 games last year, we'll take a win. And it's exciting. You know, there were a lot of times that things were unraveling. At the start of the second quarter, we only scored 4 points in the first 5.5 minutes of the second quarter, and we had some other down stretches, but the guys just kept fighting together and came out with the win. So anyway, Cade, like I said, he played 24 minutes. He was only 4 for 13, not a good shooting percentage, but he was 2 for 5 on threes, and that's been consistent. His three-point shooting has 2 for 2 from the line. He finally got fouled once and got to shoot 2 free throws, and he scored 12 points, but he had 6 fouls. And here's the thing, Cade Cunningham, you are a great player, but you know I've said this, his rookie year, he made dumb fouls. You know, you have to really be smart once you pick up and you're in foul trouble. If you get one right away in the first quarter, you got to play differently the rest of the first quarter. You know, if you get 2 in the second quarter, you got to either come out or play differently. And he had his fourth foul. He picked up his fourth foul with 11 minutes and 30 seconds left in the third quarter. So most of the third quarter left still to play, and he is on the bench sitting till the fourth quarter. And you know, we just can't have that. And he tried to block a shot that he was never going to block. The thing I love about Cade is he never gives up on a play. And so, you know, a guy, and it wasn't even his man. The guy got loose, went into the basket for a dunk, and Cade is not a great leaper, but he jumped up and tried to block it, and it was he just needed to just give him the 2 points. He wasn't going to block it anyway, and especially when he's already in foul trouble. It's different. You know, I guess if he had 1 or 2 at that point, then you can try to contest it, but you still need to contest it without fouling. And he wasn't smart enough to do that. And then with 9 minutes and 22 seconds, they put him in the beginning of the fourth quarter. And then with 9 minutes and 22 seconds left, he got his his fifth foul. So then he has to come out. And so anyway, he fouled out with, I think, like 2 minutes to go, but we had pretty good control of the game. But I just hope that he learns. He didn't play many games last year, but he still had a couple times where I think he made, again, those fouls that you have to be smart. He's universally known as this guy, basketball genius with this high basketball IQ, and he typically plays that way. But for some reason, when it comes to fouling, and again, I think it's his competitive nature, gets the best of him, but I still think he has to stop doing that. And he had 5 turnovers, and you know, he should have 3 turnovers a game. There's nothing wrong with Cade Cunningham if he's has the ball in his hands all the time, that he would have 3 turnovers a game. But tonight he had 5, but he only played 24 minutes. So if he has, you know, in 34 minutes, if he has 3 turnovers, that's not a bad game. But having 5 fouls in only 24 minutes. But we do have to figure something out. So teams now know that we don't have any shooters on the court, you know, especially in our starting group. And so they're sending the double team. They're sending 2 guys and attacking him 40 feet from the basket. So the coaching staff and Cade have to figure it out he has to get rid of the ball as the double team is coming to him. And somebody has to make themselves available. And again, they have to watch the film. The coaches have to work on it. Cade has to recognize it. And I am confident that he's going to do that. But they're going to have to, because people are going to keep on double teaming him as long as we have so many non-shooters on the court. So Bagley played great again. Only 13 minutes, and he's 5 for 9. So he got up a lot of shots. but 14 points in 13 minutes and very efficiently. And he was 4 for 5 from the line, so he draws a lot of fouls, which is always helpful. He had 4 rebounds, which is 4 rebounds doesn't sound like many, but when you only play 13 minutes, it's a lot. So, Stu played fantastic. So this is not a diss on Stu, but Stu played 36 minutes and had 7 rebounds. And so, he played way more minutes and had just 3 more rebounds. But anyway, Harris, again, was a non-factor. I'm real confident that Joe's going to be a factor somewhere down the line, that he's going to hit some open shots. He's going to get some open threes. He was 1 for 3 from the floor. One time we had the ball and we were coming down the court, and he just slipped behind the defense and no one was guarding him, and he got to lay it in. That was his only bucket, but he only played 11 minutes. So a real star of the game, and Monty said it after the game. Monty said, we don't win that game without Jaden Ivey. And so he was really proud of Ivey because, he struggled real bad in the first game in Miami. He was bad, and he seemed like his confidence was shaken, but he came tonight, and he was way more calm, under control. He played 23 minutes, which isn't a lot of minutes, but he was 8 for 14. So when he does come in with the second unit, they do set things up for him, and Monty talked about that, but he was 8 for 14, 2 for 6 on threes. He had 4 assists. He had a bunch of them in a row at a big point in the game. Of course, every point in the game is big, but he had 18 points, which is incredible for 23 minutes. Ausar was, he did his thing again, man. He played 29 minutes. He was only 2 for 9, and one of them was a dunk. So it is a problem. He's got to shoot and score, but the bottom line is he is still valuable. 12 rebounds he's either the shooting guard or the small forward, whatever you want to call him, but 12 rebounds and 6 assists, and he had 3 turnovers, which isn't great, but it's, he got 6 assists, so his assist turnover ratio was 2-1, so that's not bad. He had 6 points, but those rebounds, man, he got some big ones down the stretch. He got some offensive rebounds, and once he got in there and he got hammered. The worst non-call of the game. Overall, I didn't think the Pistons got a horrible whistle. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good in the first half. I felt like in our favor almost, but in the second half it wasn't as good. But he got hammered once, and he got taken down by 2 guys and no call. And I felt bad for him. But so here's where we talked about this on an earlier podcast, where Monty is talking about the challenge that he has between teaching players how to play the right way and getting players experience. And he said tonight after the game, he said that Ausar won't be the player. You can do all the things you want in practice. You can show him on film. You can do drills with him. And unless he gets this game experience, he's never going to never develop and be the player that we want him to be. And so, in Miami, he didn't play him in the fourth quarter, but tonight he did, and he came up with some huge plays, and like I said, he got some second chance offensive rebounds, and that were really big rebounds. But he's showed why he's such a great player. It was funny, the game just starts 1 minute into the game. Ausar makes this great block. This guy is open for a shot. He has a guy in front of him, but Ausar comes from nowhere, out of nowhere. He's on the weak side. His man's on the weak side, and he flies through the air and swats his shot. And then in the first minute, he had a block, a rebound, an assist, and a turnover, all in the first minute of the game. So he was real active. So anyway, it's another step in his progression, and it was good. But Isaiah Stewart, he was had another phenomenal game. He was great tonight, especially. He had 11 of his 15 points were in the fourth quarter. He really stepped up, and he was 6 for 10, 2 for 4 on threes, which is dynamite, 1 for 2 on free throws. He got a flagrant foul against him. The guy got ejected out of the game, but he had 7 rebounds, 4 turnovers. So, Ausar had 3 turnovers, and Stu had 4, and Duren had 5. So those are bad numbers for guys who only touch the ball as much as they do. So those 3 guys all have to really clean it up They try to do things, and I think they're capable of doing things. But I guess in the big picture right now, we need to be smarter. But Stu, like I said, he had 15 points. It was really cool. In the fourth quarter, he misses a wide open three, and Ausar flies through the air, gets the offensive rebound, and kicks it out. I mean, there's no better threes than when they come off an offensive rebound because they kick it straight out to you. You don't have to turn as you catch the ball. And he had the guts, man. He drained the second one. He missed the first one, and then he still in the same possession. Just seconds later, he made the next one. Then the interesting thing is he caught it again after he made that one, and he caught it, and a guy came at him, but he could have shot the three. But instead, there was a wide open lane all the way to the basket. He drove it in there and got the layup. So that was, I think, a wise play on his part. So then there's Killian. He played 29 minutes, and he plays good defense. We've known that, and he can be a good passer. We've known that, but he's not really playing any different than the Killian that was here the last 3 years. He was 2 for 10, and he was 2 for 10, and he was 1 for 2 on free throws. And that doesn't quite cut it. He had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 turnovers. So if you're getting 6, like I said, Ausar had 6 assists and 3 turnovers. That's 2-1. If you have 3 assists and 3 turnovers, that's not as good. But Killian, I think, was the only one that was negative plus minus. He was -8. So all the other starters were plus by like 9. Most of the other starters. Ausar was a +9. Maybe he was second. Yeah, Ausar was second highest in plus minus. So a lot of the guys were like just +7. But here's the man right here. Alec Burks played 30 minutes coming off the bench, the veteran, and he was 5 for 10 from the floor, and he was 3 for 7 on threes, 11 for 12 on free throws. So, I always talk about, our team needs to shoot a good free throw percentage, and we did tonight. But largely because Bagley was 4 for 5 and Burks was 11 for 12. So that was where we really capitalized. But he was plus 27, and that nobody was close. Ausar was the second closest with plus 9 for the time that he was on the court. We won the game by 27 points. So anyway, that was a huge game for him. And Monty commented about how, and he's right, it really is good for our young players just to calm them down, to get us a good bucket. And he has that knack of drawing fouls. Cade needs to learn however he does it, but because he's done it, he did it last year all year. He just gets fouled, and that's a real valuable asset. It was like impossible. Cade scored 30 points without shooting a free throw, and that doesn't very rarely happens that you can ever score 30 points without getting to the line. But anyway, that was a huge game for Burks, and Monty said how it's great for the all these young players. So our starting lineup is like averages 21 and a half years old, and nobody in the NBA is close to that. I mean, the closest team I'm sure is OKC. Well, Spurs are pretty young too, so in their starting group. But so we're playing this team, Charlotte. They won their first game. They beat Atlanta on opening night by pretty much by quite a bit. And they have some really, really solid, really veteran players who have been really good over the years. And, they had Rozier, Scary Terry, he had 20, and Brendan Haywood had 19, and he got to the line a lot and stuff. LaMelo is an enigma. I just can tell you, he made the All-Star team before. He's very gifted. He was an amazing passer, but I just don't get to see. I didn't see the passing anymore. He doesn't look to pass, and he shoots these funky 3-point shots. But he's 4 for 17 from the floor. That's terrible, and he's 2 for 7 on threes, which is not good. But he takes bad shots. But he got to the line 12 times. So he's 10 for 12 from the line, and he only averages last year. He only averaged like 3.6 free throw attempts. And so I listened before the game. I listened to what the Hornets broadcaster said, and they said that he needs to draw more fouls and stuff. But for whatever reason, we fouled him a lot. So we do need to. And Monty talked about this, how much our defense has improved, and how we overcame all those turnovers and fouling too much by playing good defense. And he said, now if all we have to do is play the same defense and be physical, but not reach in. And so that's where we, and that's a common thing for a lot of players to do instinctively, but we have to get better at that for sure. So we're playing the Bulls tomorrow night, so it's too bad we're playing. It'll be our third game in 4 nights, and it'll be the game of a back-to-back. But what I don't mind as much, because the Bulls are playing tonight, so the Bulls were still playing after the Pistons game got over. Last I knew it was, I think, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and Toronto was ahead 72-67. So the Bulls, I know they struggled. They got smoked by OKC their first game, and they had a players-only meeting because they needed to clear the air. They had a lot of things that people were upset about. But anyway, this is a huge win for the Pistons. If we had played well and then we had made all the turnovers and fouls and Cade fouled out and we lost by 1, it would be a real bummer because we have to win, I want us to win, and the guys want to win, but we have a great energy on the court. We have, a great toughness. We had a bunch of blocks again today, and the guys play hard and they rebound hard, and the coaching staff has them playing better defense. I know Coach Monty talked about how Stu is so good on defense because he stays down and he doesn't try to jump when people pump fake him, because that's a big problem that a lot of people does. And, I know Ivey does that, and a lot of our players do that. They get so aggressive and they want to go after everything. But this is a great win for us, and we need to come back tomorrow night and do the same. So we'll see what happens, and I'm excited for our team though. I said on the podcast, I wasn't sure how many we would win. I predicting 32. But it could be more, it could be less, but I just know that this team is fun to watch. They are fun to watch. It's a little bit frustrating with the turnovers and the fouls, but still they're fun to watch. They're how hard they play, their grit. That's a word that applies to this team. They are gritty, and Steve Clifford's a good coach. Their coaches, they play good defense, for a team. And like I said, they have, LaMelo's been an all-star, and Hayward, I'm sure, has been an all-star, and Rozier's been a really good player, and they had a rookie, Mark Williams. He played pretty good for them tonight. But anyway, to go on the road and get that win after just barely losing to Miami, that was huge for us. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, please subscribe, please, and leave a thumbs up. And tell a friend about this. We got, there's going to be people, I hope, jumping on the Piston bandwagon, and so please tell them about my podcast. I have some great comments from listeners. I should have got his name, and I try not to spend my time like some people do on their podcasts. I mean, it's nothing wrong with what they do, but they read all the comments, positive comments about their podcast. But I had one of my listeners said that this is by far the best Piston podcast out there, and that meant a lot to me. When all the comments mean a lot to me. So be the reason that somebody feels cared for and heard, and go Pistons. Beat the Bulls.